Hello and welcome to From Field to Skin, a series of interviews chronicling Ash Alberg's adventures in the Canadian fibre shed. Our 7th episode features Christelle from Fiola Farm and was recorded in September 2018 on Treaty 1 territory. You can find Fiola Farm online on Facebook and Instagram. They will also be part of the very first Fibre Shed Experience box. For more, follow at From Field to Skin on Instagram or visit fromfieldtoskin.com. Hello everyone, and we are here at Fiola Farm with Christelle, and Cato is probably behind. No, Cato escaped.
Disappeared.
There's some sheep, the rams, and then this is Dilly the cat, who is going to just
sit on my lap.
Yep. And so we are currently in St. Genevieve in eastern Manitoba. And it's primarily a Franco-Manitoban community?
It was settled as a Franco-Manitoban community, definitely, but it's changed quite a bit over the years. But
okay,
yeah, still quite a few Francophones here.
Cool.
Yeah.
This is hilarious. So I guess let's get started with the usual questions. So tell us a bit about your personal fibre journey.
Okay. Well, fibre journey, I guess, started when I was quite young. My aunt taught me how to knit, and that was probably my first introduction to any kind of fibre thing. So I learned probably around 5 years old. I learned how to knit.
Okay.
As many people do. Yeah, that's my story.
Come here, bud.
It's okay. And then I continued to knit quite a bit when I was young, but I would never knit anything more than like a square or a scarf.
Yeah.
And then I went to the university, the Alberta College of Art and Design when I was in my younger 20s.
Yeah.
And I took a weaving class.
Cool.
And a dyeing class, and fell in love. But I was actually there for, I went to art school for jewelry, jewelry making.
I didn't know
goldsmith, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I went to goldsmith, and actually, that's where it kind of ended because I had some health problems and I was playing with too many chemicals and stuff, and I was getting a lot of allergies and things like that. So I kind of stopped doing goldsmithing, although I still love it, for environmental reasons and for health reasons. I kind of stepped back from that and took more photography classes and fibre classes, and then eventually moved back to Manitoba. And I have since, it's been interesting because things fall into place as you grow, right?
Yeah.
You don't know where things are bringing you until you figure it out. But yeah, we moved. When we got married, my husband and I moved here to St. Genevieve to his family's homestead.
Yeah.
And this was his grandfather and grandmother's place. And there was no animals here, but we were looking for an animal to kind of add to the land to help fertilize, and we were looking at different options. Cattle are too heavy and hard to manage, and
right.
We were new at animal husbandry and things like that. So sheep came up as an option, and I was like, that's cool. You can use the fiber. I would love to play with to use that kind of thing. And there's many things. You can use the meat. You can use. And they will also graze the land quite nicely.
Yeah.
And not be so hard on the land. So we went with that, and then since then I've been like, well, I know how to do this, and I know how to do that. So I got a loom, and I haven't set it up yet because we got in the process of getting sheep. We also have children, so time lacks. But eventually eventually I'll get back to things like that. But I got all my old notes from university, and I started dyeing again, and it's been fun.
Cool. Kind of full circle.
Yeah, and it's interesting also because just as we were unpacking some things, like as you do, some boxes take forever to unpack. And
Yes.
just this summer, we found a box that had a newspaper clipping from when another farm in northern Manitoba had gotten some sheep, some merinos. When oh no, it's escaping me, but there was a mill in the Interlake just north of Toulon originally, and there was a newspaper article, and I had clipped that like years ago and kept it, and I was like, someday I will own sheep in my head. And it just sat there in my box for like years, and you unpack these things and you're like, oh yeah, I really did want to do this.
Yeah.
Do this, you know? And it ends up that like Monster Poodle is actually from her farm.
That's so funny.
It's just weird.
Oh, that's super weird. I love that though.
Yeah. So we've had like sheep since, I don't know, was it 2015 or 2016? We've had sheep for about 2 years, 2 or 3 years now.
Yeah.
No, this is starting our 3rd year.
Okay.
And
time just kind of blends together.
it's so crazy. We started with 5, yeah.
Yeah. And how many sheep do you have now?
We have around 50 sheep.
Yeah.
We have about 25 ewes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they're mutts for the most part?
Yeah, they're Rito Arcot crosses. So
Okay.
we've been really, we wanted to get a good dual purpose sheep with good fleece.
Yeah.
And so when we kind of picked, we kind of just went through what we wanted and what was available to us in the area, and went with this one flock that already the people we bought from, they were already working on fleeces as well. Like they were already using the fleeces from their sheep, but they were Rito Arcot with some other influences, and now we have been adding other influences and just kind of seeing what we can do with the fleeces and create. And,
Oh, very nice. That's so funny.
Yeah.
So we're in the Pembina Fiber Shed.
Yeah.
And kind of smack dab in it. And so, like, our Fiber Shed organization is obviously pretty new. It's also going great guns, I think.
Yeah.
But like even before things got started, what did Fiber Shed mean to you? Like
I didn't really know what a fiber shed was until it was introduced to me recently.
Yeah.
And I guess the concept is super easy for me to grasp now that I know what it is, but I didn't know there was such a word for it, I guess. But it's super cool. You said, what does a fiber shed mean to me?
Yeah, like what is...
Yeah, so I guess fiber shed like encompasses everybody that works together with fiber, everybody that has kind of a hand in it, right? In the common area. So for me, I think it's brilliant because it's getting together, the shearers, the growers, the farmers, the people who spin, the mill owners, everybody that has a hand in everything, and it's not necessarily wool, but all kinds of fiber, right?
Yeah.
It could be even wild or domesticated, which is really cool.
Yeah.
So to me, it's just having a community and an access to fiber, and local fiber, which I don't think was really available before, or hard to access, or hard to find.
Yeah.
So having a fiber shed organization is super cool and great.
Yeah. And actually, I want to chat with you a little bit about this because our fiber shed, of course, as well. Like it's September 28th. It's September 28th, and it's snowing. Yeah. Like actually, actively right now, there's snow around second snowfall of the year. So like we have, but it was also like stupid hot a month ago. So our fiber shed is a little crazy.
This year.
And
last year I think it was like 30 plus a day in this time.
I think you're right. That's gross. And so, of course, our fiber shed kind of naturally needs to encompass skins and furs, which it's very heavily regulated here. Like there's the the furring, or I can't remember the exact name. I think it's on the map, but the association. And so, for the most part, if you're not working, like I think within some of the indigenous communities, then people just work directly with one another. But for the most part, most of it ends up going through the association. Okay. There's elders who like keep an eye on things, and of course there's always limits depending on what is happening in the local environment, like whether or not you're allowed to hunt a certain species each year, depending on like whether it needs culling or not. So it's something that I would like to, talk with more people about. But you tan things, and you tan them in the traditional way. So can you talk about that a little bit?
I want to, this is definitely in my plans to develop more in the future, but both Joey, my partner, and I are both of Métis heritage. Yeah. And for me particularly, it's super important to honor the animals that we take as much as possible, and so use up as much as we can of that particular animal, whether it be sheep, deer, anything. So to me, keeping the hides is super important, and or trying as much as possible. So I have been taught by a few people to tan in a traditional way, very, very much so labor intensive. Yeah. But also super important. So yeah, it's a lengthy process, but to me, it allows me to connect to a deeper level to that animal that's been taken, and for me anyway, it allows me to feel a little bit better about everything. Yeah. Not just to make me feel better, but oh my god, there's an eagle. No, is that? There's an eagle flying as I speak of this.
That's amazing.
Okay.
And Kayla wants to eat it.
You're hilarious, Kayla. So that was also confirming that this is something that I need to be doing.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, super cool. So yeah, I want to get more into not only tanning more of my hides, but also helping people understand how to do it more. I would like eventually to once I grasp the concept a little bit better. Yeah. To teach as well workshops. Someday maybe. As time allows. We have a 4-month-old or 3.5-month-old in the house, and things have been crazy around here. But just allowing that. It's super important. So like when we do. Harvest animals here, like I do use like all the fat and make products with as like candles, soaps, balms, and things like that as much as I can, and things like that. So
you use the whole critter.
Yeah, use the whole critter as much as possible. But yeah, like tanning hides is definitely important, and as much as everything else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Just have to get more into it. It's in the future plans.
Yeah. So, what do you think, so this area is actually not that far from the city limits. Like from Winnipeg, if you're looking at the edge of the city, it's about a 25-minute drive. Yep. But there's definitely still that urban-rural divide, and I feel like a lot of education has been happening very recently within our fiber shed, and so people are learning a lot more, which is super cool. And even, Fiber Fest was a couple weeks ago, and it was a very different crowd, I feel, than has come before, or like the same people, but a different level of education. Yeah. But there's still absolutely, there's a gap of knowledge, and especially where you guys are working primarily with meat breeds, and they make beautiful wool. Like I'm wearing Snowy's fleece on my head right now, and then
you've got Oreos.
I just knit up Oreos, and then I also knit up some farm wool that you had milled, and then dyed with avocados from the restaurant.
Yeah.
So
restaurant scraps.
Yeah. But I feel like there's, if you were to say to somebody like, oh, well, this is a Rideau Arcot mix, then people would be like, well, what is that? Like, it's not a breed necessarily that they recognize, or if they do, then they think of it specifically as a meat sheep.
Yeah.
So there's definitely still education that needs to happen. And what do you think are barriers that are stopping people from getting more engaged at this point?
Yeah, I think, well, there's a lot of education that it needs to be done on breeds, definitely. Breed-specific wool is so new.
Yeah.
Especially, so we're in Canada, most of our Canadian wool gets shipped
to China.
And then gets shipped back as a batch. So all the wet wool gets thrown into, and I'm shaking because it's a little cold today.
Yeah. The snow.
And the eagle is still shaking. But yeah, so all the white wool, or all the wool gets categorized and shipped to China, and then gets shipped back to us as a final product, either as product or as yarn
sometimes.
So breed specific, like every is basically you get to spotlight a specific breed. You get to see what that fiber looks like and what it can be. And there's no good wool and bad wool. Like, people always ask me, like, oh, is that really nice wool? Is it really good? I don't like that word. I don't like the good wool.
Because it's got a purpose.
Every wool has a purpose.
Yeah.
Like, even the really scratchy wool is actually super important, because this would be considered scratchy wool, but it helps wick away moisture, and it helps you keep cool in certain environments. And like, you've been to Iceland, right?
Yes.
So the wool, like Icelandic wool, could be considered bad wool by some people, like, oh, it's scratchy, but it's actually super important to those people where it grows. Actually, from some what I've learned from some things that I've read and learned is that the type of wool where it grows is the most important where it is.
Which totally makes sense, because like when you think of
French is does that make sense? Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like, I mean, when I think of like being in Nova Scotia, I mean, there's also, which I'm learning a little bit more now.
Yeah.
I still totally don't grasp it, but the different mills will have a different kind of end product.
Yeah.
And so, like, Briggs and Little, of course, is out in New Brunswick, and it is a historically scratchy wool. And same with McCausland's. Yeah, totally. And same with McCausland's and PEI. Like, it is known to make they refer to it as like your grandma's wool, where it is a scratchier wool, but it's also the wool where if you're a fisherman out on the boats and it is the middle of winter and you're on the water, that's what you want to be wearing a sweater of. You don't want to be wearing a merino sweater out on the water as a fisherman at that point, because it's not helpful. Or if you're walking around Halifax, even, like, it's too freaking cold. I've been in the ice storms in the middle of winter. Merino is not what I want in those moments. Like,
exactly.
So
it's interesting. And for us, so what we chose to breed, or like our primary breed on our farm, is Rideau Arcot. And for those of you who aren't Canadian, maybe like, what is a Rideau Arcot? It was a Canadian breed made in Ottawa with 6 sheep that I always forget. But there's a mix of like Finn sheep and Dorset and
Suffolk, are they in
Suffolk?
there?
No, I don't think Suffolk is in there.
Like, this is the thing, and it's also...
I will find it, and we'll put it in the notes somewhere.
Yes,
what Rideau Arcot is, because it's important to know.
Yeah.
It's a mix. Yeah. I think there's even some merino mixed in. I forget.
Even though it's its own breed at this point, like, this is the thing too with the breed specific stuff, is like, the breeds are all mutts. If you go farther enough back, they're all mutts. It's just that something's been
Icelandics are like
some of the
purebreds. The European breeds are purebred sheep, and those are. But a lot of our like textiles, I think, are like mixed North American sheep. And
I think a lot of the North American sheep, like if they haven't been brought in from wherever their native land was, then
Yes.
They end up being mutts of some sort. And it might not be like they might themselves be considered breed specific, but 50 years ago, a Rideau Orcott was not a thing.
And I've looked, and maybe at this point there might be a difference, but from what I've seen is there's not many breed specific Rideau Orcott yarn being sold out there because it's very variable. And even our Rideaus are even watered down and created, so they're really just Fiola farm Rideaus. So they're just like not they're our own, and we're okay with that.
Yeah, well, and it makes a really lovely wool.
Yeah.
It's just like, monster poodle's a Rambouillet, and so if he happens to be the father of some of the lambs, then they're going to have something that's a little bit...
And this is another thing that's been interesting is I've had a few people recently be surprised that you're able to grow merinos in Manitoba.
Right.
Merino, it's been trendy.
Yes.
And people are like, oh, I can wear merino and it's soft. Some merino is scratchy.
Yeah, well, and it's like the highly processed stuff that they're talking about, right?
Yeah.
It's like...
It's not supposed to be scratchy. Merinos isn't supposed to be scratchy, but there are some merinos that will have guard hairs, and they're maybe not supposed to, but it exists.
Yeah.
And so, just get to know your farmer.
Yeah.
Get to know where your wool comes from, and like that is where you will start learning more and start visiting farms and things like that. That's how people can learn about their farmer shed. Maybe is like,
Do you find that there's a barrier being a rural player in it? Like, I mean, even something as simple as like, if I'm in an urban setting, probably I'm likely to go to the internet and be like, well, where can I find local wool?
Yeah.
I'll search it out. And then, like, I that was my big problem at the beginning of my fiber journey back when I moved back to Manitoba, was that I would try and find local wool. Yeah. And nobody had any sort of presence. Yeah. But also, like, as soon as I turn down the street onto your property, I have no cell phone service. Yeah. So like there's absolutely still this issue in Canada where the coverage is not equal, and there's a major gap within rural and northern areas.
So there's a few issues with farmers having a product and that product getting known, and then which is why fiber sheds are so important. Yeah. One, rurally, yes, we're kind of in a dead zone. We're supposed to have cell service, but we don't really have great cell service. Yeah. My internet runs off a 10-foot tower off my roof, and sometimes it's satellite internet, sometimes we have internet, sometimes it's not great. Yeah. So marketing it is tricky. Yeah. Also, being a farmer, we don't have time sometimes, right? Totally. So having a fiber shed organization is super important because that allows that marketing to be done. Yeah. When we don't have time to do it. Yeah. Or the tools to do it. So that accessibility is tricky. But a lot of farmers that I know are super happy to welcome you to their farm if you can find them. Right. Yeah. So exactly. Being a part of that will be great. And it's just doing that is.
There's just so many steps.
There's a lot of steps, and the biggest thing I've heard from farmers is I just don't have, like, we on our farm make an effort to promote, but there are a lot of farmers that make really cool stuff, and they don't have time to throw it out there. So
well, and I think too, I mean, like having good quality images, like you've trained in photography, so your photos are just always beautiful. But for a lot of people, like to have, which I think is also a really cool thing that Permanent Fiber Shed does, is that I'm a terrible participant because I still haven't written up my long answers to the Q&A, but like it's literally like you send an email to our coordinators. And you just write point form answers to their things. They'll craft it so that everything is written in a cohesive way. Yeah. And then if you don't have an ability to take good photos yourself, then they'll come out and do the photos for you. And so there's at least some basic representation. Yeah. And then people know, okay, well, you're out there at least, so I'll go and find you somehow. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's super cool, and I think Pembina maybe isn't the only, like our fiber shed is Pembina, but maybe other fiber sheds, I think it's very similar. They will do that. So
yeah, I think Upper Canada does as well.
That has stuff.
Contact people. It's interesting too, and also just like it doesn't necessarily need to be like we're a Fiber Shed affiliate, an official one, and then Upper Canada Fiber Shed is an affiliate as well. Like your Fiber Shed or Fiber Trail might not be an official organization that's affiliated with the Fiber Shed organization in the States, but it doesn't mean that the work isn't being done, and so. But it does take a lot of dedication from a few central people, and there's always it's work always. So we sort of already talked about it, but what's an easy way to get started then? So we've kind of talked about like if you're a farmer, reach out to your Fiber Shed organization, and if there is one, like what are other ways of? If
you're not a farmer and you want to be connected to your Fiber Shed, there's like just reach out to the check out the Fiber Shed website, and Ash is doing great work, also promoting just local Fiber Sheds everywhere. But I think trying to just ask the right questions, But I think education is super important, and even in just the last year, I found a huge difference. Not only in Manitoba, but I've noticed just people opening up more and more to local wool, to local dyers, to local, just people are really craving that need to find things that are local, and it's super cool, I think. But it's just knowing that it exists and knowing that it's out there. So educating first, then people will have the want to find that knowledge, and then having that knowledge available.
So I guess this is a convenient little moment for me to stick a plug in. So I feel like, local yarn shops absolutely have a role to play in this, and Woolsey Wool, I think, is starting to do a really nice job of kind of, bringing in local wools. And I think anyone can do that. So, approach your local yarn shop if you have one in the area and say, can I do a pop-up trunk show, or can I bring you a basket of wool and you sell it, and figuring those things out. I think conversations about pricing absolutely need to continue for everyone. But one thing that I am going to start and am doing alongside you is trying out, and I have no idea how it's going to go. Like, it could be that I end up with 20 boxes just sitting in my house. But making these Fiber Shed experience boxes, and so kind of focusing in and highlighting the Fiber Shed and using, making it, like yarn boxes, people love getting them. It's like a fun gift, either for yourself or for somebody else. Like, everyone likes fun snail mail.
Like, it comes from me, but I want to get one.
Yeah, exactly. It's a gift for me. You don't like, that's when we laugh, do you? Like, what the hell? And so I'm starting off with Pembina, obviously, because it's a little bit easier to coordinate. And so the idea behind the boxes is that people get an opportunity to kind of experience the Fiber Shed, whether it is their own Fiber Shed or not. And so we're using your yarn, the 3-ply worsted, in a mix of the naturally dyed with food waste, and then also the fleece specific. So like Oreos will be one. I think we've got some of Canel's yarn.
Cookies, Canada, and Oreos. Lots of sweets.
It's delicious.
Actually, Canada cookies and Oreos.
It is.
Perfect for this time of year.
And then I'm designing patterns that go specifically with the yarn and with the box. And then there's like information about the Fiber Shed, and then other products from the Fiber Shed. So either like a tool or something. And then I've got there'll be a skin salve, and using actually clover that I just foraged here last week.
Oh, awesome.
And then some local beeswax candles from Raven Creek Farm, and all of their bees collect honey around Riding Mountain.
And if somebody wants to be super hyper local, some of my yarn cookies and socks, which will be in that Fiber Shed, is actually, or in the box, is actually spun half a mile down the road at Long Island.
Like, that's just so cool. I love that, and so I'm hoping that it's another way for people to get involved. It's just like one of many, but
cool.
I think there's absolutely ways of getting more involved, and yeah, I think having intermediaries is useful because the chances of every farmer having an in-house photographer is basically no.
It's yeah, and yeah,
so yeah,
it's tricky.
So what's the next step? Stormy also came from
Longway Homestead
down the road. So and this is also the fun thing.
Oh no, he's behind you.
Can we see him?
No, he's on that
He's
side.
hiding. What if I go this way?
Yeah.
No, he's too tiny. He's a little Shetland. There's also a chicken coming up on us currently. So you're so funny, bud. So what is the next step for you? You've just gotten Stormy recently.
Yeah, so we got Stormy. So we breed right now our ram. We have got a Rito Arcot ram. His name's Bobby. We've got Stormy, who's a Shetland, and we've got Rambouillet. And so we're breeding those to our Rito ewes. And we kind of just trying to figure out a type of fiber and fleece that we're happy with for different purposes, and just develop that wool line. We still sell meat. What's my next step for me was really getting those tanning those getting some sheepskins up and going a little bit more, and having those for sale eventually.
Yeah.
Just keep developing our farm. Like, we're still so new. We've only been I know some people who follow me on Instagram think I've been doing this for years, but we're super green and super new and still learning everything. And
yeah.
I'm sure if I look at this like 2 or 3 years down the way, it'll be completely different from where we are now. But,
yeah. Well, and even just like I've got the footage from moving the rams around last week, which Joey was like, "This is not the way that you do it, but it's how we're doing it."
That's just how we do it. We figure things out and do it the farmer way, as he would say. Just farmer it up.
Yeah, I feel like that's a lot of it. It's a constant growing process.
Yeah.
Like
we're still building. We don't have all our fences up that we need. We only have a section of our field fenced off, and we still have to work on our facilities and our handling systems. Like our handling system consists of plywood and manpower and baiting sheep with oats.
Yes.
So
which seems to be a fairly reliable method.
It works really well, and I mean the sheep get something in return. They get treats, and it works, right? But yeah, we're just gonna keep growing and see where this journey brings us, and I'm super excited about it.
Cool.
Yeah.
And then I guess having kids also kind of you never quite know what's going to happen.
We have 3 kids, 5 and under, so in a few years it'll be a lot different.
Yeah. Well, then we'll just have to do a follow-up in like 5 years. So it's all the kids are in school and see where
things are. I can't even imagine how much more stuff I can accomplish at that point.
Oh, I love it. So in your ideal world, what would the fiber shed look like?
For me, not having a fiber shed before and just having a fiber shed now is amazing.
Yeah.
In an ideal world, it's looking pretty ideal already to me. Just having more, I would just wish that we had more people connected to it. But it's so fresh and new, so I mean that will happen and that will come. But just having just people who want to access what they want, being able to access that. Yeah. That's the ideal world. Or the ideal of it, right?
Yeah.
So
cool. Is there anything else that you want to talk about?
I don't know.
You're developing beer, maybe?
Oh yeah, that's super top secret. Wait, also our farm is not only sheep. Sheep is a part of our farm, but we mainly grow hay for animals, for horses. We make high quality hay for horses. But we also started growing last year some heritage, what do you call it? Ancient grains is what I mean. So last year we tried some red fife wheat, some spelt, and some emmer wheat. Emmer being the most ancient wheat that you can find. It was even found in the Egyptian tombs.
Cool.
Things that are super tricky, but we're kind of playing around with. The red fife did super well, so I think we're going to plant that again this year. But yeah, like if we want to dream, eventually we would love to have maybe a small batch of beer with our name on it.
Yeah.
And, there's all kinds of dreams that go along with the farm, but there's all kinds of options. And right now we're at that point where we're trying a bunch of things, and we need to start channeling where we're actually going to go. So
yeah, totally.
So that the farm will look completely different in 2 years, in 5 years, and in 10 years.
Yeah.
In 2022, it will be the 100th anniversary of our farm. So,
whoa, that's cool.
So we're gonna apply for a little plaque, 100th anniversary plaque from the province.
Nice.
And hopefully have a really big party and maybe some cool surprises. So
cool. So everyone plan a trip to Manitoba for 2022.
Yeah.
There is literally a chicken right here.
Staring at us.
He's like, what are you doing? What's going on? Like 4 feet away, maybe. If I laid down, my feet would touch it. Easy. Oh, now you're leaving. It's because we're talking about you, isn't it? Cool. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to say?
No, thanks for having me.
Thank you. This has been great.
Yeah.
And okay, so I'm gonna. Dilly is like super comfortable. We will.
Do you want me to push?
Yeah, sure.